guys, this is Anne. I am now moving on to how to do a slightly more advanced marble. For all you intermediates who have made marbles before or feel like you want to give something slightly different a try, I suggest for anybody who has not done marbles with 104, which is what I'm working with today, that you make clear ones first and see how it feels, changing around where your punties are, and kind of get the feeling of how hot your glass is and how hot it needs to be to move in the way you want it to do, or not move as much as you don't want it to move. Right now I am just using, I have some 8mm rods of Zephyr that I use for my Murrini making, so I am just using some of that so that it goes a little faster. Alright, so now I have a gather on the end of my rod of clear that I'm using as a punty. Punties are necessary when you're making marbles because it's all off mandrel. So you're going to be changing where your punty is living on your marble many times. So you want to have lots of different rods of clear so that you can change that position of the punty as many times as you need. So now I've got this glob of clear on the end and I'm going to make a Maria with it. So that means I'm going to let it kind of fall down onto my graphite marver. Alright, that's my Maria. Looks kind of like a candy kiss when you do it right. It doesn't look so candy kiss-ish. Easy for me to say. So I might flatten it a little bit more here. I have a decent sized Murrini that I'm going to put on here just because that's what I had available. And I didn't feel like searching my whole area for anything else. So what I have is now a Maria on the end of my punty rod that I'm building this on, and I have fire polished it so that the chill marks from pressing it down are gone. I have this nice big Murrini that I'm going to heat up. It's been on a hot plate, so it does have some heat in it already. Now I'm just heating it up a little bit more so that it will go onto my clear a little bit nicer. Alright, so I'm heating up the clear, I'm heating up the Murrini, and I'm just laying it down. Alright, now this is a pretty thick, large sized Murrini. So I'm going to build up around it a little bit with some of the outside color of it, which happens to be ivory. Alright, so I'm trying not to trap any air, because all the air that you trap is going to turn into a bubble. So I'm trying not to trap it, and to not trap it, I am making this ivory molten hot to put it on there. Alright. So I think I have enough ivory on there. I'm going to now flatten this out. Again with my marver. I want this ivory that's around my eyeball Murrini to be flattened and even, or as even as I can make it. Now the way that I did this, I have now an eyeball on this side, as you can see, and I will have an eyeball through this other lens of clear. So it will be the same on both sides of this particular marble. Now I need to build up this side of my Murrini face. It's flat, you can see, it's nice and flat, so that I won't get any potential air bubbles trapped in there. Looks like I've got a decent sized air bubble on the other side, but I will make it round and it will be okay. So I'm just going to start in the center here and add a lot of clear to this side of my marble. I want as much clear on this side as I have on the other side, trying to avoid the dreaded air bubbles and trying to avoid getting the ivory so hot that it moves. I don't want it to move. I only want this clear to move so that I can add it on top. And I want to have roughly the same amount of glass on both sides. Alright, I think they're about roughly even. I managed to get a bubble in here. I could do a couple different things with this particular bubble. It's kind of close to the surface. I can try and dig it out. Or I could leave it there. I think I'm going to try and get it out once I let this set up a little bit. And I'm going to superheat just where that bubble is and try and grab him. Deeper than I thought he was. Okay. Stubborn. Being stubborn and staying in there. Okay. I think I got him. Now I need to round this back up again. Okay. It's rounded. I've got a bunch of these clear rods as extra rods because you need to have multiple punties available, because you will inevitably lay one down and not know where to find it again. So now I'm changing up which side I have puntied so that I can round up the other side and get that bubble that I have in there rounded up. So I'm going to do a hot seal. A hot seal is when the spot you're putting your punty onto is hot, as well as your punty being hot, so that it really gets a nice good seal on there and isn't going to come flying off on you. Alright, so that's on there. Now I'm changing my heat to the other side where I had that big rod of glass that I initially started with to get my Maria, and I'm melting it off. Depending on how much glass you want to leave over there on this particular marble, it's not as imperative that I pull this little nubby off. If I didn't want any extra clear, then I would pull that nub off. Alright, now I am melting this down so that that nub becomes one, and I'm looking to make sure that this bubble that I saw when I saw it on the other side has a chance to get hot enough inside of there to become round instead of being flat and long. So that sometimes takes a lot of heat to get it to do that. I'm trying to keep this punty that I have in the back here that's holding this big glob of glass out of the flame so it doesn't get all wobbly on me. It's mostly round. It's getting there. I'm just going to get control of my marble again before I introduce it back into the heat again. And I'm just introducing the area that I want, that face that I need to get that bubble rounded. Okay, it looks pretty round to me. Now, from putting all of this heat in there and keeping it on center, I have been able to round up my marble pretty well without actually using my marble mold at all. So now that it's cooled down a bit while I've been talking, I'm going to introduce it to the marble mold to give it, just to make sure that it's round. What you want to do is go into, when you're first introducing it, you go into the size that's like one above, and you can one above the size that your marble actually is, so that you can kind of help to shape it if you need to, if you don't feel like it's round enough. And then after that, you go one size smaller than your marble to do the finishing rounding of it. Alright, so I have finished rounding this one side, so I'm going to get another punty ready, maybe somewhere. Alright, here's another punty. With your punties that you think you might actually be using them for the last time, you want to make sure that it's down to a pencil point and doesn't have any schmutz on the end that it might leave on your marble. This one is a schmutzy rod. This is not Zephyr. Zephyr does not get schmutzy like this. So what I'm doing is I'm making this into a pencil point. Ish. Okay, so kind of a pencil point, so that only a small amount of it is going to actually touch my beautiful marble. So that way, when I do my cold seal, the rod, my punty, won't leave behind any schmutz. Okay, so to do a cold seal, I'm heating up my punty rod. I'm letting my marble cool down a bit, and then with my slightly cooled rod, I'm going to attach it to my cooled marble. Not cold, just cooled. And I'm going to take off this other side. Now this marble is precariously on this punty, so I want to be gentle with it. I don't want to bang it around. I don't want to move it around over my lap. I want to keep it safely on over my work area. A lot of marble makers use Kevlar pads under their work area, so that when and if the marble were to pop off, it would gently land there and hopefully not roll off of their workspace and onto their lap. So that's an idea. If you happen to have a Kevlar pad, that's a good idea. Now I'm going to work on shaping this other side of my marble. I'm gonna, oops, I picked up a piece of clear there that I need need to melt in now. It's a little hair fine stringer hanging out. Alright, so now I'm going to go into the bigger than my marble size just to give it a little bit of a rounding. Then I can go into, this particular marble is about the size of one of the holes, so I went into it. Now my marble is pretty cool when I'm working it in the marble mold. It's not molten hot because then it will just get edges and ridges and be a bear. So I want it to be semi-cool before I put it onto my marble mold. I'm moving the marble mold, I'm moving the marble around so that it can get any nooks and crevices out of my marble. Right? Now I'm fire polishing it. It looks pretty gosh darn round to me. I am happy with it. Okay, so when you've gotten your, now it may take you like 10 times going in your marble mold and trying to work out any kinks, any crevices. But when you are finally ready, you're going to heat it up just a smidge to keep it warm. Make sure there aren't any chill marks on it. Nothing more depressing than getting your marble out of the kiln and it's got chill marks all over it. Okay, so it's ready. I'm going to put it into my marble mold. I'm going to take either another piece of glass or something and I'm going to tink off that cold seal that I had going. And if you had a nice cold seal, then it should not leave much for you to have to deal with getting off of your marble. You're going to heat just where that punty was to try and make sure that you have no big punty mark on there. You want to be aware of your marble because it can roll out of this marble mold and into your lap at this point. So I use this marble mold. I've got it nice and rounded, I think. I use the light above me to make sure that I don't see any reflections. Heat it up just a smidge more and then it's going in the kiln and I'll show it to you tomorrow.